It's been 25 years
Yes.
since Ingénue came out. And for this special anniversary, k.d.lang is hosting an Ingénue Redux tour this summer. k.d.lang is with me live in studio this morning to talk about the album, to revisit a few of the songs. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
It's a joy
Pleasure
to have you
to be here.
It's a real joy to have
Yeah.
you. I think of you as someone throughout my life, and I'm a big fan of your music, as someone who's always very groundbreaking, always looking forward. Is it strange for you to take time and look back?
Well, no, because I've never done a redo tour before. So, and I this kind of sentimental, and yet it comes with a certain amount of pride to be able to go, yes, 25 years ago I released a record that did well. Mm-hmm. To be able to go back and do those songs. Plus, I have a totally different relationship with those songs now after touring for 25 years and singing them, and so it feels new. It feels I'm very excited about it. I know that I have a relation to the songs, and I'm hoping that some of the audience has a relationship to the record. So I'm excited. And I know it's not new. Everyone does their 25th anniversary tour, and we're doing it in sequence in its entirety. So it feels really exciting to me.
You say you have a new relationship with the songs that maybe you didn't have when they first came out. So let's take a listen to a couple of them. This is where the album starts, the first track of Ingénue. This is Save Me.
Save me from you, but pave me the way to you. Lead me upon the captive free.
k.d.lang with Save Me off Ingénue. So what do you hear when you hear that now?
Well, as a producer, I hear, okay, that's, we should have changed that sound all. And as a singer, I hear, oh, wow, I sound so young. But I'm still very proud of that record. Ben Mink, my partner, writing partner and co-producer, put our heart and soul into that record, and we really didn't know what was going to happen, what was going to transpire, if it was going to be well received, and it wasn't for the most part at the beginning. It got slammed by some bad reviews, but it persisted, and it became. Obviously the Vanity Fair cover had a big impact on it.
Yeah, I want to get to that. It wasn't a country record, which I think a lot of people were expecting. I think that might have led to a couple of the bad reviews in the early days. People expecting this incredible country record, and you come out with this. Why at the time did you make that change?
Well, people think I took a tangent and a departure for this record, but actually it was kind of a return. I think country was the departure for me. Mm-hmm. I was playing with that genre. I was fascinated by the constraints of it conceptually of what country was, and I had a lot of fun with that for about 7 years. But Ingénue was a return to the kind of music that influenced me: European music, folk music. So it was kind of back to who I really was.
Did it feel like a risk before you put it out?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why
definitely.
is that?
Well, because it was a very melancholic record. It was, I was poised for. I had won the Grammy for country something but before that, and there's a lot of expectation of me to come out with something pop, and thank goodness there was constant craving on the record. Mm-hmm. But it was a very melancholy record and different for the time,
So when those first reviews came out and they weren't so hot, I mean, how did you deal with that?
Oh, I was devastated.
Is that so? You really took it to heart?
Well, I try not to read them, but I was aware of some of the bad reviews, and I was actually bracing for it to fail. but it started to take off, and then then after about 20 months on the road, I had kind of wished it had failed.
You could have stayed home a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah.
You mentioned Constant Craving, and thank God for it. This is the first single from Ingénue.
Always someone marches brave here beneath my skin, and constant craving has always been.
You know, there are those songs that really take you and put you somewhere. That puts me in my dad's old yellow car in St. John's, Newfoundland, driving around the salty streets in St.
Great.
John's, and that song coming on Oz FM and belting it out with the windows rolled down.
Excellent. I love that.
You co-wrote that song with your longtime collaborator, as you mentioned, your
Yeah.
co-writer Ben Ming. I understand that song came together pretty quickly. Is that right?
No, I don't know where in the press releases everyone thinks that Ingénue came together so fast. It was arduous.
So Constant Craving was arduous too?
It pretty much the whole. I think Miss Chatelaine came together pretty fast, but Ingénue, for the most part, was arduous. We worked so hard on it. I remember the lyrics, writing the lyrics for Constant Craving. It was like pulling teeth, really, just venturing into sort of a territory I hadn't ventured into lyrically.
What territory is that?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't even know how to define it. It just felt like new territory internally. It felt like I was kind of going through the dark. But it wasn't easy. It was definitely not easy.
It was interesting to hear you while the clip was playing. We had the microphones off, and you were still harmonizing with it. You still obviously really like the song, even though you probably had to sing it every day for
I've
25
sung it a
years.
lot. Yeah, I've sung it a lot. Well, you know what? Honestly, I'm very excited about the tour. And I never get excited about touring, really. But I am very excited about touring this record.
Are you excited about getting up and singing that song again? Do you still get excited when the band strikes up?
Yeah, Constant Craving probably is the least favorite off the record that I'm excited about. But I'm really, like, he played Save Me, and we'll open the show with Save Me. I'm really excited because I love that steel line so much.
The Constant Craving was an international massive hit and won you a Grammy, not for country, but for female pop vocal performance of the year. But do you remember do you remember the moment you realized that this song was a bit of a game changer, that this was a hit, that this was going to be really huge?
I remember exactly. I was actually, Barbara Orbison, Roy Orbison's wife, lent me her Porsche Speedster, and I was driving around in this vintage Speedster. Was it a Speedster? Was it called?
Yeah, I believe so,
Speedster.
Speedster.
And I don't know if I had a cell phone back in 1992, but somebody had contacted, was it September 21st, and said, Constant Craving became number one. Wow. And I was just like, it was one of those moments where you do take a snapshot and you go, holy mackerel, this is something. This is something, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't something you were expecting.
No, not at all.
Yeah, a big number one smash
Big
pop
number
hit.
one hit. Yeah, it was my only one because I'm a one-hit wonder, but it was...
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's it. Yeah,
It is. That's true.
That's how I characterize you.
Yes.
k.d.lang, one-hit wonder.
That's true, though.
You and Right Said Fred. I put you on the same level. It was
Maybe I'll do a remake of You're Too Sexy.
Maybe you need a good opener, and maybe Right Said Fred will come out.
Yes.
And a couple of the Midnight Runners.
Exactly.
Let's move to that second single from the record, the one that you said maybe did come together relatively quickly.
Yes.
This is Miss Chatelaine.
Just a smile, hold me captive just a while. I can't explain why I've become Miss Chatelaine. Every time your eyes meet mine, clouds of qualm burst into sunshine.
That's k.d. Lang with Miss Chatelaine off her 1992 album Ingénue, the Q studio dancing while that song was playing.
Ah, I missed it.
It celebrates 25 years this March. Katie has just announced the Ingénue Redux Tour, which will take her on an Australian tour and across Canada this summer. She's with me live in studio. My favorite chords of any k.d. Lang song. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I love the
Oh,
chord.
fun.
I love the chord progression of that song.
Oh, that's great. You know, I'm such a huge fan of the Lawrence Welk show.
Oh, me too. I'm
Yes,
so
that's-
excited.
That song it's all about Lawrence Welk. And
I just feel like I got something vindicated in that moment.
and you did. No, I'm so glad you like the chords of that song. Ben
Yeah.
will be pleased to hear that.
It's a beautiful song. There's a lot of talk though about the video of that song. It was tongue in cheek.
I was in drag.
You were in drag. You were dressed in this very hyper feminine way. It definitely played with people's expectations. What were you trying to say with that video?
Oh, because it makes you feel like Miss Chatelaine. And the Chatelaine, of course, was a reference to the Canadian iconic magazine, the Chatelaine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was I was Woman of the Year one year, and they had airbrushed lipstick on me, and it's just it was a fun play on how love makes you feel these expressions that aren't natural to you. And Miss Chatelaine came out of it. But I remember doing the Arsenio Hall show, and I went as Miss Chatelaine in the yellow chiffon dress and the wig
Yep.
and the false eyelashes. And I honestly don't think he understood what was happening.
You just thought, oh yeah, this is what k.d. Lang looks like.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
You were getting a lot of questions though at the time. There was such an intense amount of press. I mean, looking back, I spent a little bit of the weekend just looking back into the actual press that was happening at the time that Ingénue came out, and it was, I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
It was a microscope on you at all times. There's a lot of questions coming in about your sexuality at the time. A couple of months after the album came out, you came out publicly in an interview with The Advocate. Well, why was that the right time to take that step?
That was in sort of the vortex of the AIDS fire that was happening. And there was a radical group called Queer Nation that was outing people. And the gay community was very confused and very fearful at the time. And I just felt like I was probably going to be outed. I didn't think I was ever in, but I was probably going to be outed, and I really felt like it was the most social responsible thing to do is to just come out, because I mean I had been out to my mother, and it wasn't an issue for me, but I felt like it was the right thing to do, and the record company were like, I don't know,
Really?
it might not be good for your career. And I was like, I'm going to go into this interview with The Advocate and just see how it feels. And it just felt right, to be honest.
I can't imagine what that pressure must have been like. I mean, any kind of press is kind of scary. Any kind
Yes,
of
I'm scared right now.
any
actually,
kind of
Tom.
interview. Well, I'm terrified. So can we just put on some Lawrence Welk and me and Katie can relax a little bit. In addition to this big album, you had a lot of people talking about you, learning about you for the first time. You mentioned you were on the cover of Vanity Fair. What was that time, looking back in your life, what was that time like for you?
Well, I mean, the obvious is surreal. And it has a very strange way of distorting your sense of reality. You are surrounded by people who want you to succeed because they have a vested interest in your success,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of people going, you should probably tone it down. That's going to be a hard one to kind of come back from.
Yeah.
And you're working so hard at such a fast pace. You actually, in your opening paragraph, it was a perfect summary of what it felt like. It's such a whirlwind. I often watch athletes when they win the Super Bowl or the World Series or something and think, oh, are they present? Are they taking this in? Because you're working so hard that it's and there's so many yes people around you that it's hard to stay grounded and focused and present.
And it's almost like you look back at that time and it feels like that was somebody else it all happened to.
It does. It does. Although it also was one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah.
It simultaneously was, I think maybe more in retrospect, it was painful. But at the time, I was living on cloud nine. But the coming down from it was a painful process to process all the misconceptions that one has of themselves.
What do you mean?
Well, that you are the best singer, that you are important, that people are interested in what you have to say. And the truth of the matter is you're no more important than anyone else on the face of the earth, which is a hard thing to wake up to. Even though I knew it internally all along, but it's like you're drunk. You have a false sense of importance.
And there's enough people around you yelling importance at you that
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to tune them out all the
Yeah.
time. As I mentioned at the beginning, I think of you as nothing more than a groundbreaker. I think of you as nothing more than an icon and someone who paved the way for a lot of really great Canadian music and a lot of really great music around the world to be made. You could easily, though, K.D., be lying on a beach right now and not in a Toronto studio talking to me and not going on a 17-city Canadian tour. What's keeping you going? What keeps you motivated as an artist?
The singing, definitely the singing, the music.
You still love it. You still love singing.
I love singing. Yeah, I don't love the business. I'm actually in a great deal of pain sitting here with you right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, I'm not really. But it's not the best part of. You're a musician. You should know.
Yeah.
Being on this side of the microphone is it's exciting, but it's also
It's kind of artificial.
it's a little artificial.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but being on stage and having the musicians there and being in the moment and having to be a vessel rather than sort of the driver. It's exciting.
Well, I'll say this. In defense of this conversation, I think a lot of people look up to you in more ways than just your music, and I think you've made a lot of people feel inspired and a lot of people feel motivated. And I think to hear that wasn't always easy for you, and to hear that was a struggle for you sometimes, and to hear that you're just like the rest of us, and you had your own moments of doubt too. It was really meaningful to hear that, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I really mean that. Thank you for coming in, and please come back.
Oh,
I'm all
yeah.
moved here.
I'm so welcome. I'm so happy to come back, and we are going to do a duet of a Lawrence Welk tune next time.
Oh, I can't
promise
wait.
you.
I saw this video the other day of Lawrence Welk introducing two people doing One Toke Over the Line, Sweet Jesus.
Come on, you're joking.
I'll show it to you afterwards.
Okay.
We'll learn it.
All right.
K.d.lang, thanks for coming in.